How's everybody doing? It's Savon. Join with me is Reed and Tyler, and we have a special guest for this emergency episode 5.5 of Likely to Dispute with Robert.
How's it going, guys? A long-time listener, first-time caller. Happy to be on the show today.
So, as Savan mentioned, we're here with an emergency trade pod. One of the biggest trades, probably the biggest trade since the five-way trade went down. One of the biggest in league history. We had Savan sending the greatest quarterback in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes, along with Lad McConkey, to Rob in return for Marvin Harrison Jr., the 2025 109, and Robert's 2027 first round pick. So we're going to go to Rob first. Let's just hear your side of the trade. What did you get out of it? Why did this trade appeal to you? And how did it come together?
Well, a few things. I don't know if you guys had heard, but I kind of needed a quarterback this offseason.
Yes.
So why not get one of the best out there to plug that hole? But no, obviously you guys know I've been quarterback hunting, I've been putting out some feelers this week. Because ahead of this trade, I was thinking about moving up to get Cam Ward. Not afraid to say that now that that's no longer on the table for me.
I think you should still
Um,
try to get up and get him.
yeah, might as well. As as Trent said, that you need as many quarterbacks to score you points as you can. But yeah, so when Savon put Mahomes back on the trade block today, which I think he did earlier this year, but not super seriously, it was intriguing. And pretty much right after that, he approached me with a trade centered around Mahomes. And then we'd also earlier this offseason, just very briefly, had some trade discussions centered around Lad because obviously everyone else in the league knows my other quarterback is Justin Herbert, and why not pair a very promising Lad coming off a great rookie year with a quarterback I hope is on my team for a long, long time. So it just kind of morphed together. Give up Marvin Harrison, which, tough to see him go. I picked him in the second round in our inaugural draft, one of the highest, non-QBs going off the board. So it's tough to see him go, but you're bringing in another second-year receiver with a lot of potential who pairs well with Herbert and has already shown great production on the field. And yeah, tough to give Marv up, and obviously given a lot of draft capital. But from my side of things, it was worth it to get an S tier quarterback to a very quarterback needy team, and um, you know add Lad to the mix and to a receiver room. I'm still feeling really good about.
Just to make one quick correction, I believe Mahomes has been on and off the block a number of times throughout the
Sure.
last year. Savan thinks it's a joke.
That's, I was just gonna say that anytime Savan puts a player on the trade block, it feels like a bait just for Savan to see what people think of players. And so when I saw a deal get done today, I was certainly shocked. I mean, I saw the Mahomes on the trade block notification and could have
Probably
been
ignored
anything
it.
else. Yeah, it was pretty irrelevant
I,
until it
bel
wasn't.
I believe this is the first trade that Savan has ever completed where the player he acquired did not immediately then go back on the trade block. So that's also a first win. So Savan, same question to you. Give us your side here. Trading away Patrick Mahomes and your boy, Lad. Let's hear it.
Okay, so first, I have shopped Mahomes this offseason. Nothing ever really got close until today. Um, my thought process, I've been thinking through it over the last few days, but uh, I reached out to a couple people today, and Rob made the most sense because I knew he obviously needed another quarterback, and I liked pieces on his team that would make sense for me to get back. So I approached Rob, sent out a feeler, and didn't immediately get shut down. So I knew we would have some good talks. I will say the initial offer that he sent, basically, I asked for one of his top three receivers and the 109, and he countered back with adding future draft capital. And I did like the initial deal, but when he threw Lad in, I really had never seriously considered trading Lad. I just have a personal connection, as you guys know, That was Pickle's selection in the inaugural draft. So she is very pissed at me right now, but getting her another ring will ultimately fix that. Anyways, um, so I sent Rob back. I would need Marvin in the deal. He molded over for 15, 20 minutes. During that time, I panic called Tyler. Him and I talked through everything. And basically, for me, with my roster, um, obviously, you guys have heard me talk about Drake for a while. Whether I'm too high on him or just the right amount, uh, it was a decision I felt comfortable moving forward with. My big goal of the offseason was to get 3 quarterbacks. And while I did that, I now I'm back in the same boat pretty much I was last year, only having 2 quarterbacks, but one I feel super strongly about. Um, and then once this trade got done, I realized I have all 3 of the receivers drafted in the top 9 last year. Um, I also have 2 quarterbacks that were drafted in the first round last year. So I'm really betting on the 2024 draft class. Going along with that 2027 first, I did consider switching it to 26. I'm sure it would have got done either way, but because I'm low on 26 picks, but the 27 draft class is shaping up to be one of the best receiver classes that we might ever see. And so having it be the 27 first, just another shot in the dark, whether my team or Rob's team isn't good by then. But overall, I was comfortable with where my roster's at. And then getting the 109 this year to add some depth to my team, because that's one thing I've traded away a lot of. Last year, I had a lot of depth, but not a lot of injuries. And this year, I'm sure I'll get hit with injuries, but I don't have so much depth. So glad to pick up that 109. I feel good about my team. I think we both got better for what we were seeking out of the deal. And so, yeah, I'll turn it over to you, Tyler.
Before we jump into our unbiased opinions here, Tyler, so I
Okay.
had a couple of follow-up questions for you. First,
Yeah.
given your propensity to want 3 quarterbacks, would you say
Don't
you're in
know
the
what
market for a quarterback at 109?
I don't know what propensity means. Can't use
Your
context clues there.
love, your desire to have 3 quarterbacks on your roster, would you say you're in the market for a quarterback at 109?
I would say if Cam Ward is available at 9, he would definitely be a possibility to be on my team. Yes,
No, Savon, you want the Jackson Dart uh Malik stack, don't you?
I do, and I am willing to wait till 2026 for that to happen.
I believe that means Shadur Sanders is now in play at 109.
Yes, he
That
is,
is the scoop.
or Dylan Gabriel since he was drafted.
Good, good. Okay, Tyler, you and I here are the unbiased parties. Give us your thoughts on this trade for both sides here and the fit.
Both sides here. Um, well, I talked with Savan a bit earlier after as this was happening, as he mentioned, and one thing I told him is Savan is a gambler. He's a wheeler and dealer, and through his many acquisitions, he has traded away quite a bit of draft capital. Understandable, and I mean, draft capital doesn't score you any points week to week, so. Evidently, that was the case last year for Savon with him winning the championship. With all that being said, however, I do like that he was able to recoup some draft capital, and whether he keeps that for himself or uses that in future potential deals, the choice is his. So, but he now has those chips to play with. So I do like the draft capital he got there. So we'll see if he sticks at 109 here. You got to imagine if he's involving that pick in the trade, he likes someone, but to be determined on that. Um, Marvin Harrison Jr. obviously not didn't quite meet the lofty expectations last year, but everyone still knows the upside is there. So just how high of a ceiling that is for Marv is to be seen. But I'm a big believer in his quarterback, so could be really good for Swan this year. And I don't think there are many wide receivers that really Savon would have been okay with parting ways with Lad for. And that Marv is one of those receivers says something about that. On the other end of it, for Robert, I mean, he has made it known that he needs a quarterback and to go out there and get one of the best ones. Like he said, you got to tip your cap to that. And not everyone's going to have the most active offseason in terms of moves, but in terms of the caliber of this move, this might be the most active offseason, if that makes sense, or most significant offseason for Robert. Trading away some pieces in the five-way trade and then obtaining Mahomes and a stud receiver in McConkey really bolsters his team and I think overall makes it stronger than maybe it was a few weeks ago. So I think it's good for both sides in different ways, and I'm excited how to see how it plays out. I hope it remains an even trade. I with such a big trade, I always enjoy when big trades like this. There's no clear winner. You hate to see someone get completely screwed from a trade they made previously.
Yeah, and to Savon's point earlier too, I think it's wild. He now has five of the first nine picks from the 2024 NFL draft, which he might be coming for Caleb and Jaden's until because that's a wild record. So,
Yeah.
my thoughts on this are, I think, quite clear. And I think it's funny because Savon was quite frankly shitting on analytics earlier. I think this is a trade where in the spreadsheets, Savon was even or potentially won the deal depending on where that 2027 first lands. I think this is a slam dunk for Rob, and I think this gives him a better team than Savon sitting at this very moment. I,
Wow.
I don't like it. If I'm saying if we're making 2025 power rankings, obviously part of the return for Savon's trade was a future first, which is very important and not to be dismissed. But betting on Michael Penix right now, when he had one essentially fantasy relevant game last year after two, again, poor fantasy games, is, I think, very risky. He's trading away Ladd, which is someone who he was very personally invested in, as he mentioned, in addition to him being a very good player. I'm not out on Marvin by any means. I still think if it's him or Ladd straight up, I'd probably prefer Marvin by just a little bit. But in the same time, you're also betting on major improvement when you've seen Ladd do it. Mahomes, while maybe not the flashiest guy anymore, one of the most steady quarterbacks you can possibly get because he's always going to be healthy and the Chiefs are always going to be good. Uh, I don't know. I think the value overall is very even. Again, pending where that 2027 first lands, I think it's a slam dunk for Rob. I think Savon probably again is even in value, but for a team that's contending for a championship right now, I feel like this was a move that probably didn't make sense. So that's 109 becomes very important for him to hit. And anytime you trade a future first for a player, especially in this case when he's acquiring two good players, that pick inherently becomes less valuable because those players you're getting back are making your team better, therefore making that pick less valuable. So my thoughts are pretty clear. I think it was a great trade. I think again, I agree with Tyler. I love when fun stuff goes down. I love when trades happen, especially big trades. I didn't think Swan was actually ever going to trade Mahomes, but yeah, fun trade.
I will say, I will admit, Robert got the best asset in the deal in Patrick. Um, I just think my starting lineup is just the ceiling of my starting lineup is just astronomically high at this point. If Rome really is who I think he is, uh, he has a super high ceiling. Obviously, the Marvin for Lad. Um, like you said, as of right now, it's slightly in Marvin, but still, at the end of the day, I think he has a much higher ceiling than Lad. Um, and then going back to last year, my quarterback situation last year was arguably terrible. And so, in my opinion, I think I'm at this moment, I'm even to my quarterback situation last year with the potential to be in a better situation. So, but yeah, all around, I think it was we both got what we wanted, so it's all that matters.
I think I think you could argue that you gave up, again, arguably the two best assets in the deal. Because I think a lot of people would probably agree that Ladd and Marvin is probably a toss-up, maybe leaning Marv, depending on how much you believe in the ceiling. But you could argue you gave up both of the best two assets in the deal.
You definitely could. Yeah. Guaranteed one, and then eye of the beholder on the second.
Hmm. Very measured takes from you. I'm proud.
Thank you.
Any other trade talk from this week, both in the draft and prior to the draft? We had one other significant trade go down. We will talk about that this weekend's episode. So this is specifically for the Mahomes trade. So, Savan, I think you had something you want to talk about before we got off.
Yeah, small scoop, got permission to say it. Currently, we are scheduled for the draft to kick off in just under 12 hours, 8:30 a.m. tomorrow. And I have word that there is an offer sitting on Deshaun's desk for the 101 from Ian, and he offered the 103, the 105, and a 2026 first. I think it's my 2026 first
Probably a
for
high
the
first there.
for the 101. And not going to say which side, not going to say do this, do that, but just wanted to make it known that Ian has an offer on the table for 101 to acquire what would most likely be Ashton Genty.
If I could weigh in as someone who fears Ian's team, I hope this trade goes through. So
Me
we'll see.
too. Me too.
Not that I don't fear Deshaun's team, but clearly the ceiling for Ian was ridiculous as the regular season leading scorer last year. So
As Ian noted previously, he is a Raiders fan. So
Yes.
what a sad existence.
Yeah.
I feel for him.
I'd rather be that than a Packers fan, though.
Okay. Anybody else have any last comments before we hop off here?
I have one more. Savon, did you know now that you've acquired a 2027 pick, you and I have 1/3 of the first round picks in 2027. So I'm right there with you, looking at that draft class coming in. But
Yeah,
maybe,
we
maybe
got we got 2 years to acquire
I know.
more.
I'd bet my money though you're trading away some of the either one of those picks at least.
We'll see. We still got to get through 2 college football seasons before we get there. So let's
That's why betting on a draft 2 years from now is stupid.
what? Hey,
We can't hear you, Savon.
sorry, I said you win a ring and then we'll talk.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty much all I got right now.
Hey,
Okay.
Savon, speaking of rings, not to get too much into the Linmar League, but am I getting my Powerade from you for winning a ring over you this last season?
Rob, I just got word you'll be in town next week. And I also got word like 5 months ago that you want a blue Powerade. So I will make sure to come over, go in your fridge, and get it for you.
Appreciate it.
Okay. First emergency trade pod in the books. Looking forward to the draft starting here, as we said, in 11 hours and 52 minutes here. So we'll see everybody this weekend for the next episode.